several different versions of S10s, and there's a version called the S10e, as in everywhere you look, the S10e. And if you like small phones, this is almost replicating what the other S10s are like. It's got the same camera, which is a great camera. It's got the same chipset, the Snapdragon 855 chipset, which means it's fast. So photos are fast, they're speedy, they're excellent. Battery life, very good. Wireless power sharing, still there too. It's got a fingerprint reader. You compare this to the pricier S10 and the S10 Plus, you're going to save some money because this one runs about $720. Now stand by. $720 is nothing to sneeze at. It's still relatively expensive. But if you want to look at an alternative for getting something that is comparable to the higher end models, and this is why these companies do this. So Apple came out with 3 new versions, the XR, the XS, I don't even know what those are, the S10, the S10e, the S10 Plus. It's price point, but it's also size. Personally, it's not that I don't like the bigger phones. All right, I like the form factor. I want something relatively small enough before the foldable phones become the in thing. I want something small enough where I can put it in my front pocket of my jeans or wherever I'm wearing. This is a good size, the S10e, and it's got really, really, really good reviews. And if you want to compare it, you can definitely look at the Apple iPhone XR, which is not the most popular of the 3 XRs. And I knew this because I was at CES, and I was at CES. There's so many companies there. Apple is not there, but they have other third-party companies that make Apple devices, like cases. And they were giving out samples. And everybody was taking an Apple iPhone X, the 10, the XS. And the poor XR, no one was taking the XR. And people were saying, well, the XR is not that popular. People actually feel like spending a lot of money. You go ahead and do that. But I tell you what, if you want to save some money, always. And these are the options. And this is why I do the show. There are options. I'm never really going to tell you, unless it's going to change your life, to go get the most expensive thing. I really don't want you to go spend, when I started, I don't want you to spend $15,000 on a high-definition TV. Nowadays, I don't want you to spend $1,000 on a high-definition TV. There are computers that I like. There are printers that I like. And I really didn't even get into my printer review. I got a new printer yesterday. HP had sent me this really new concept of a printer. I'll hit this next week. It's called the Tango. It is. They're claiming the world's first smart printer. I set it up. I've had printers, for 30 years? This could not be easier. The easiest printer I ever set up because there's 0 plugins. You plug the electricity, there's no cord. You cannot plug it into your computer. It is all wireless, and it uses an app. I can scan things with my camera, and it automatically prints out. It uses Alexa. It uses OK Google, so I can tell it to print. It's neat. It's a really, really neat thing. But these are the things that I talk about that hopefully make your life easier, including switching your electricity, thanks to our title sponsor, which is, of course, Eagle Energy. Please use that promo code of HTT. Hey, with that, I got to get out of here in 30 seconds. It is St. Patty's Day celebration time. No matter how you are having fun, please do be responsible and enjoy this made-up holiday. Well, it's not made up. Keep it in mind. Have fun. Have some corned beef and cabbage. Tune in wherever you find me here on the podcast that Shannon will put up, and also hightechtexan.com, HIGHTEXIN. For all of us who've been a part of this one, we do thank you for tuning in. My name is Garth. We'll see you online and on here next week. But right now, lift one, a nice green beer, because my show is over.
Are you or a loved one having a total knee replacement? If so, demand CPM therapy from your surgeon and enjoy less pain and swelling. Covered by Medicare, benefits you've paid for and earned. Do not let them be stripped away by rationing medical care. Go to demandmotion.net. Demandmotion.net. Call Therapeutic Solutions at 281-922-5453 to be referred to a qualified surgeon who prescribes motion. Get going on the road to recovery. Demandmotion.net.
Jerry Lee Lewis's fifth wife, Sid Vicious and Kurt Cobain, awesome. Amy Winehouse, Johnny Cash, Disgrace Hours, a rock and roll true crime podcast with stories about musicians getting away with murder and behaving very badly. It's brilliant. Hosted by
shooting suspect in court. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. The suspect in those two mass shootings at mosques in New Zealand appearing in court today, shackled and wearing white prison guard.
49 people died in Friday's shootings targeting Muslims at prayer. In the aftermath of one of the mosques, bullet cases can be seen on the floor. Unable to escape, people bled to death where they fell. In the city hospital, 39 victims are still being treated, 11 in intensive care. The attack was merciless. A 2-year-old is among the injured. Not even a toddler was spared from the bullets.
Sky News reporter Siobhan Robbins in Christchurch. The shooter, a self-described racist from Australia, accused of posting an anti-immigrant manifesto online. Deadly weather in this country, the so-called bomb cyclone to blame. At least one person drowned, 2 others are missing in Nebraska after flooding from the late winter storm caused a levee to break. That storm icing up roads and spawning 18 confirmed tornadoes from the upper Midwest to the South, 4 of those in Michigan. Taking advantage of holiday weekend crowds, from St. Patrick's Day parades to fund runs, the Democratic presidential hopefuls fanning out across the country.
Joe Biden, who's not yet announced a run, is the headline speaker tonight at a Democratic Party dinner in Dover, Delaware. Beto O'Rourke is in Iowa, where he's been since he launched his campaign this week.
I'm running to serve you as President of the United States of America.
Senators Amy Klobuchar and Cory Booker are also in Iowa. Washington Governor Jay Inslee is campaigning in New Hampshire.
That's Fox's Rachel Sutherland. Beto went the distance in a 5K road race in Iowa. He's now attending a campaign event supporting a state senator. This is Fox News.
Fox Nation is the place for exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. New opinion shows from Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, and Tommy Lahren you can only get by signing up for Fox Nation. Plus, the real stories behind the headlines. Documentaries on Chappaquiddick, Jimmy Hoffa, and more that you'll only find on Fox Nation. More of the opinion done right you crave? It's on Fox Nation. Documentaries and specials you can't get anywhere else? They're on Fox Nation. So go to foxnation.com today and sign up now for Fox Nation. Opinion done right now.
Shepard Smith. There's so many streams of information coming. Some are designed to distract you and to mislead you. When news is breaking, you have to slow down. We have to begin with what's most important. I'm here to find out what happened, to report it without fear or favor, in context and perspective, and to be honest, brutally honest about every bit of it. We work endless hours to make sure that when we deliver it to you as fact, it's a fact.
Shepard Smith on Fox News Channel. Real news, real honest opinion.
The search for a missing child ending in tragedy.
Investigators looking into the disappearance of a 2-year-old Milwaukee girl have had their worst fears realized.
An off-duty Department of Public Works employee observed something out of the norm as he was driving home. He called this tip into the local police department.
Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales.
And just off the shoulder was a blanket. Inside that blanket and wrapped in there was a body of a child.
The body, found in Steele County, Minnesota, has been preliminarily ID'd as that of Noelani Robinson. Her mother, 24-year-old Sierra Robinson, was shot dead this past Monday. Police have arrested and charged the girl's father, Darius Higgins, with Robinson's death. Karen McHugh, Fox News.
New information about the school shooting in Parkland, Florida that left 17 dead. Authorities say moments after the suspect was captured, he told police he was hearing demons. Prosecutors now seeking a death sentence against Nicholas Cruz. His attorneys have said he'll be pleading guilty for a life sentence. Riot police now clashing with demonstrators in Paris as French firefighters work to extinguish a blaze set during the latest round of violent protests. The French Prime Minister vowing to severely punish those responsible for today's unrest, calling them troublemakers. More than 100 anti-government demonstrators have been arrested. Marching in Britain, dozens of pro-Brexit protesters. They accuse politicians of betrayal by failing to take Britain out of the European Union. UK's departure is set to take place March 29th, is likely to be delayed as UK lawmakers wrangle over the approval of a withdrawal agreement. The group set out from Northern England is expected to arrive in London on March 29th. I'm Jane Metzler, and this is Fox News.
Highway inbound is going to be shut down as you approach Gessner. That as traffic stopped back from Huffmeister. Outbound, just as heavy as you move towards Mason. The backup there, heavy back from about Barker Cypress. Finally, if you're traveling on the West Sam southbound, expect delays as you move towards the West Road exit where 3 lanes are taken away. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is sponsored by Power Crunch Protein Bars. Power Crunch is giving you a chance to win a Pick Your Theme Park vacation to Southern California or Orlando. Visit the Power Crunch display at your local Randall's for your chance to win and to stock up on your favorite Power Crunch protein bars.
Hurricane Harvey hit us all. It feels sometimes like everything in life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety and fear. Recovery Radio with Steve Gallington every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on KPRC 950 AM.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
Big problem. Dick.
Back a little bit more with the Eric Dick Show. Co-host Chris Carmona. We have just an amazing guest today, the Cowboy Lawyer. The Cowboy Lawyer. Jason Rowe, the Cowboy Lawyer.
It's good to be here, guys.
Anyway, y'all guys can follow along if you are, into social media. We are at Dick Law Firm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also at Eric B. Dick. Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff going on, and today is St. Patrick's Day.
Well, tomorrow technically is, but today everybody's celebrating it because you don't really want to celebrate on a Sunday going into work on a Monday. Well, if you're doing it right,
you're celebrating the entire weekend.
Well, if you're Irish, you celebrate the entire month. I'm just, are you, Jason, are you Irish in any way?
I think I am. I've got a really red beard here.
You do have a really red beard.
I am Irish.
So we have an Irish cowboy lawyer in our presence today.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about the potato famine.
There was no food.
There was no food. That solves it all.
Okay, so I guess being the chief Irishman here, oddly enough, Dick is an Irish last name. Oddly enough. Anyway, so what happened in the news lately is Beto announced his vice president run.
Dick, did we watch the same announcement? I thought he announced for president.
Yeah, he's really running for vice president. He's saying he's running for president, but it's really a vice president run. That's what I think.
But who does that benefit? Does that benefit the Democrat Party? Does it benefit him here in Texas? Does it benefit Julian Castro, who may now drop out of the presidential run and run for Senate against John Cornyn? Who's going to benefit from him running right now if he's not going to do it to be the actual presidential nominee?
If he actually ends up being the vice president candidate, then I think we should all be Republicans statewide should be quite concerned.
Oh, definitely concerned.
Because the way I see it is he's trying to position himself as the potential candidate to flip the state, which is legitimate. And if you look at some of the other factors, the other people's movements, I think other people think that could happen as well. That it's probably more likely than not that the state flips and is a Democrat in 2020.
Now, does it flip regardless of Beto being the presidential nominee?
I think if he's the vice president nominee, then I think there's a higher chance. So it's early. You don't know everybody that's running if there's a real big vote getter. But I don't know. I think if Beto is the vice presidential nominee, that the state Republicans should be terrified.
Jason, you follow politics every once in a while. You dabble in it.
I do. I don't think it's going to flip. I don't think he'll flip the seat. Not for vice president. I mean, maybe if he somehow becomes a presidential nominee, then there'll be enough. He did build a very broad base. He's got a big network of support that he built with going against Cruz, but Cruz also ran a horrible campaign against him. So I think
it was an arrogant campaign.
It was an arrogant campaign. It was an arrogant campaign that cost Harris County all the down ballot races.
Oh, that and Paul Simpson.
But see, here's why I disagree with you. Is you had Jeff Brown, who's a current. He just won his reelection as a Texas Supreme Court judge, but he decides, instead of running again in 6 years, he decides to be appointed as a federal district judge, not a federal court of appeals judge, not a federal Supreme Court judge. He gets demoted basically, so he's there for life. And it's kind of a big step down, going from Texas Supreme Court to to just a regular judge, a federal judge. Though you're there for life.
But I was saying, now is that a demotion?
It's big time demotion.
Because one, you don't have to campaign ever again. You're done campaigning.
So it either means he's afraid that he's gonna lose,
and that what we can be leading to. I mean, is that a sign?
I think it is. I think it's a giant sign.
Let me go ahead and take this safe win and become a lifetime appointed federal judge, instead of taking that risk that the state of Texas is going to flip blue in the next time I'm up for re-election.
It could also be a family issue. I mean, like, it's a lot of travel involved in campaigning. There's a lot of work involved in campaigning. But to be able to just sit back and be appointed and be able to spend more time with your family.
But he's not. He's got 6 years until his next re-election. He just got re-elected. So why did he take a demotion? I mean, do we all agree that being a federal judge is a demotion for being a state Supreme Court judge?
I do, but I think he would have a harder time being appointed if the Senate flips in 2020, which is probably more likely.
That's a good point, too.
But why would you want to be a federal judge, a federal district court judge?
Because I'll tell you why. His Camry of Justice has traveled the state of Texas, because that's what he calls it, right? The Camry of Justice has traveled hundreds of thousands of miles. He's probably tired of those tires getting worn out. He's probably tired of changing the oil. And maybe he doesn't want to campaign anymore.
But usually...
But, I mean, you normally go to, like, an appellate court, or, but, yeah, to go to just a district judgeship from Supreme Court... I think you're right. That is kind of a demotion.
It is. I think it's a big demotion, because what you had Greg Abbott, who was he was a
Supreme Court.
He was Supreme Court. Yeah. He leveraged that to be the AG, then leveraged that to be governor. So I think I don't see how that's anywhere but a demotion, going from a statewide Supreme Court office to a district court office. Normally, you have district judges, state district court judges, going and being in the district judge for federal. That's very
or appellate attorneys or high profile attorneys. But not
maybe appellate attorneys, and maybe just prominent attorneys.
Yeah.
But usually not even your court of appeals. Usually they consider that also a step down, going from the court of appeals again to a district court spot.
But a Supreme Court, has that been done, Jason? In your knowledge, you're involved with the state bar.
I am. To my knowledge, I haven't seen it. But I will say, from a party's perspective, Abbott he's now allowed to appoint another judge to the Supreme Court of Texas. So it does give someone else an advantage when they're going to run in 6 years, because now they'll be running as an incumbent.
Yeah, but they're going to be running. Actually, there's going to be a special election that's going to occur in 2020.
That's true.
And I think that's dangerous. I think that was as far as strategy goes, I think that was a really bad move.
Who do we see get that appointment?
I don't know, but if the governor's got to pick somebody strong.
Well, somebody that probably got unsat from the 1st or 14th Court of Appeals, most likely, this past election cycle, like Brett Busby. So do we see someone else in that same way get appointed, or will it be someone totally different, totally new?
We will find out shortly, folks. We'll be right back. This is the Eric Dick Show. You can follow us on Instagram at Dick Law Firm, Twitter at Dick Law Firm, Facebook at the Dick Law Firm, or at Eric D. Dick. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be right back.
Right home with Joe Pat. Afternoon at 5 on KPRC 950.
There were smoking sections on airplanes, in restaurants, and then gradually it got to be where it wasn't anywhere. It's not part of the social norm anymore. It's not accepted. I was at a party this summer and there wasn't a single person smoking. Even in my own home, I had my own designated space to smoke. I think about it, it really was like I was punishing myself. It was really a friend of mine that said, why wouldn't you just try the Juul? And so I went out and I bought one. The idea of going back to smoking is, I couldn't even imagine doing that. I just don't enjoy it anymore. I don't think
folks, it's Michael Berry, and if you have a house that you've been trying to sell, do what I did, lease it. TexasRenters.com. They will make it easy for you. All you do is look at your bank account every month, make sure the money's in there. They will get the tenant in your house, and they'll keep your house properly managed. And they understand you're busy. You don't want to fool with this. That's why they'll do it for you. TexasRenters.com. That's 713-869-RENT. 713-869-RENT. TexasRenters.com.
It's the silent sleep event at Mattress Firm. Get a new bed at 0% APR for 6 years with $0 down and $0 due at sign. Plus, Friday through Sunday, get a free adjustable
20 seconds.
Up to a $699 value, absolutely free. Hurry in, your budget stretches further. Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply. 1-866-706-6220 for credit cards and charges. For new accounts, purchase APR. Subject to credit approval. Participating locations only. For information, visit mattressfirm.com/sale.
A little bit more. Okay, where we left off, we were talking more about statewide politics that kind of ties into local politics, mainly with justices, Jeff Brown, his demotion, I'm sorry, but it's a demotion, from state Supreme Court to district court.
The more I think about it, it might be, I mean, it has to be, because when you achieve the Supreme Court of Texas, theoretically, you want to stay there until you get that nod to be tapped to a higher court.
At least federal district.
A federal district judgeship at a southern district is not a nod for something higher.
At the same time, if the president asks you to serve, that's a big move to say no.
I don't know. A lot of people have said no to a lot of different positions that he's asked. I mean, when the president asks you to serve, depending on the position, it could be a day, it could be a year. In this case, it could be a lifetime. So, yeah, there's a lot of people I know personally who have respectfully declined to serve in the administration because of the inconsistency that he has with his turnover and his the admin. So, but yeah, I mean, but I think that, again, it goes back to the impetus of this issue that with Beto, with Julian Castro, with this whole Democrat wave, I think it's only a matter of time before, and I don't know how we recover as a conservative party in the state of Texas.
Well, we aren't even acting conservative. I mean, we now. What's the difference? What's the difference between a Democrat and a Republican? Democrats tax and spend. Republicans borrow and spend. I mean, look at what we're doing with the state legislature. Look at what we're doing with education. We want to add in $9 billion. We have no clue where we want to bring that $9 billion from. And the whole problem is actually we created it. It wasn't like that the problem didn't exist before us, because before, what I'm talking about is how the state used to fund local education, and over about 10 years, they basically stopped funding local education, and that's why you've seen your taxes increase, right? So Republicans are supposed to be conservative. We're against taxes, but we basically caused local governments to increase taxes. And I'm not saying that the ISDs do a good job, because they don't. And I know HISD does an extremely bad job.
Terrible job.
But all we're doing is we're hurting, we're going against our values. And then we want to go back to where we were. We want to add $9 billion with the B into local education, which is fine.
Can I make a confession today?
Sure.
I used to be 100% totally against this. Tax increases, wasteful spending, and we can't do this, we can't provide this service because it's a tax increase. But after looking at so many things year over year over year over the last decade, I'm just not in that mindset anymore, because we don't allocate tax funds for things that matter, but yet we waste it for things that are unnecessary and things to line people's pockets.
There you go.
That don't support the communities or the neighborhoods in which people are supposed to serve. So this whole conservative mantra of stop taxing is just BS, because we have no problem taxing people when it benefits friends and people that we care about. But when it comes to society as a whole, as neighborhoods, as communities, all of a sudden it's like to close our pocketbooks up now. Now all of a sudden we can't raise tax. But it's the same thing, that's not just a conservative issue too. I mean, same thing with the mayor right now. oh, we don't have money to pay for our firefighters that we just got approved on Prop B, but I have $75-80 million to pay somebody to look at a project for doing something for the airport that has no benefit other than it looks at more pristine. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the spending is ridiculous. This whole mantra of, oh, we can't afford this because we have to pay for something that's aesthetically appealing is just, I don't know.
And the mayor's office last year spent $80 million on management consulting. It's literally the job of the mayor is to be the manager of the city. And he spent $80 million on consultants and buddies who could give him advice on how to manage the city.
It's the pay-to-play mentality. And unfortunately, it's not just in the Democrat Party. It's also in the Republican Party.
Yeah,
but
it is.
You see it so much at City Hall. And if Republicans do want to win in 2020, they have to give up, special interests, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't, unfortunately. I mean, I'm a lifelong Republican. I don't see that happening. But there's a lot of stuff going on with the city that we're talking about that. One of the things that I'm very proud about Tex Christopher, what he did is he uncovered that during the drag queen story time, that there's been people convicted of sexually assaulting children, telling stories to children. And I'm sure that's not the first story that they're telling stories to everybody.
And let me go on the record on this because a few months back, I actually gave some credence to what Ellen Cohen had said, because at the time she said it, the following week, all of a sudden we saw the pastors and all these other people from clergy from church getting charged and accused of more allegations. So when Ellen Cohen said that you have more of a threat in these churches than you do at this drag queen story, I was like, does she have a point? No, she doesn't. She doesn't.
This guy had been accused of sexually assaulting an 8-year-old. And this is the exact audience he's reading to every week.
And this is what she wanted to protect. She's saying there's no chance of pedophilia. These aren't perverted people. Lo and behold, exactly what Tex Christopher and this group of plaintiffs have said from the beginning is that this is a gateway. And I'm not trying to demonize every single person who cross-dresses or is a drag queen. But when it comes to looking past proper protocol, proper channels, proper investigations, just to make sure that you push a personal agenda, you take a risk that something bad's going to happen. And I think what Tex Christopher uncovered on this is huge. And I think this is going to be a big issue for them to overcome, especially as this works its way up into the appellate courts.
Yeah, and my thing is, I got two daughters. I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and this is not, I wouldn't want my kids being exposed to this for a lot of different reasons. And regardless of whether they're gay, regardless of whether they're straight, regardless of whatever their lifestyle is, and to be fair, I kind of think the drag queen story hour is kind of funny. I think it is, if you kind of look at it, I think it's kind of funny. I think there's some humor to it. But what I find like appalling and just flat out wrong is to put children in a spot, where they're supposed to feel safe, and that they could be sexually harassed, sexually assaulted.
Yeah, not just harassed, assaulted, molested, touched.
All the things that would devastate your family. And for the mayor, for the city, not only they didn't not only turn a blind eye. I mean, it took a lot of fighting for Tex to get this stuff. He had to, file documents. He had to appeal them whenever they didn't want to provide it. The
Attorney General had to get involved, I believe, at one point as well to release some of these documents.
Right, and during that whole time, they could have fixed this problem. They could have, whenever they found out about it. But they waited until after he fought so hard, he got this information. They've been hiding it the whole time, and that's wrong.
And that's another issue that's going to plague this mayor. I mean, he can't do anything right. Ever since he's taken office, he hasn't done anything beneficial to improve the quality of life for the people of the city of Houston. If anything, he's put them more in danger, more at risk, and it's disheartening to see that he would turn a blind eye and allow criminals to engage in this children activity, but at the same time, he calls 20 police officers to come take out Doc Green as an investigative journalist at the time. And now we know why. He didn't want Doc Green to uncover what Tex Christopher did.
That there are actually people that had sexually assaulted children reading to him. It's wrong.
It's one thing if the mayor was just being negligent. I think the people of Houston would forgive him if he was just sort of inept, but this is like more than ineptness. Like no one can trust what he says. You just don't believe him. You believe at this point we think he's a liar because
he is,
and he is absolutely. But when he was releasing these documents and saying, "Well, we've negotiated with the firefighters and these are negotiations," it's like, well, no, you don't understand what a negotiation is apparently because you're not doing it properly. But your entire story is just complete BS.
I think it's, time is up, Turner. Oh, that's a good hashtag. Somebody does take that. Time is up, Turner. Or Turner's time's up.
I think that's actually what Busby's son has a shirt that says that.
Oh, does it say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people keep asking me, who am I supporting in this mayor's race? Am I supporting, Tony? Am I supporting Bill King? Let me say this, because I haven't made any public statements on it. This is what I will say about Bill King and why I have been hesitant or reluctant to even have any type of show of acknowledgement or support him running for mayor. In 2015, the city of Houston used deceptive ballot language to try to trick everybody into giving city council members and the mayors 4-year terms instead of 2-year terms. It was terrible. At that time, Eric, you and I represented the plaintiffs, a group to try to make sure that the ballot language was clear and overturned.
That's right.
Where was Bill King in that?
Wider than a field mouse.
He had
nice
all the opportunity in the world to come out and support that lawsuit. He had all the opportunity in the world in 2017 to start initiating his campaign as if there should be a campaign going in 2017. Instead, he rolls over, let city council, let the mayor have what they wanted, and was quiet on the issue. Again, showing that he neglects what the city of Houston, what the citizens actually deserve, and that's representative of the city who actually work for the people. So when people are saying, why haven't you gone on Bill King's... Because the guy was quiet when he should have been loud. He didn't campaign, and he didn't participate in activities that he should have been to show that he was serious about running to run the city of Houston. And that's all I'll say about that for now.
Well, I mean, I like Bill King. He's a really nice guy. I don't have any issues with him other than he ran a campaign. He tried and he lost, and I thought he did a good job with that. And I think let someone else get a turn.
I don't know it's necessarily like it's someone else's turn now, but I do think that when it comes to Bill King, I don't like the decisions he made as mayor of Kemah. Like, I mean, he led that city in poor financial decisions as well when he was there. So I don't want to, Houston's a bigger opportunity to mess something up, and we've already got a big problem. We don't need someone who's going to come in with the same status quo that he did as a mayor of Kemah and just screw things up. We need someone who's going to come in and be able to fix it. But I think that those who are out there supporting Bill King, I compare them to the Democrats who want Hillary to run again. Like, we've already shown someone who can't win, and I want someone who can.
And
win.
I know that he ran in a year where he could have and should have ran because of the whole hero ordinance issue.
He didn't embrace that.
Without a hero on the ballot this year, I mean, Bill King. If it was a one-on-one race between Bill King and Sylvester Turner without hero as an issue, I still don't think he comes close.
But we do have hero on the ballot this year. We've got a former Marine who's running.
There you go. Nice. Did he pay you for that?
No, not yet.
Not yet. The cowboy lawyer has not been paid yet.
We'll be right back for the final segment with the cowboy lawyer. This is Eric Dick. You can follow us on Facebook at Dick Law Firm, Instagram, Twitter at Dick Law Firm, and also on Facebook at Eric B. Dick. We'll see you in a couple seconds. Actually, no, a couple minutes. Bye.
Well, almost.
A lot of people getting in the car going, did I miss it?
Watch the world's greatest dirt bike riders race toward ultimate victory at Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship. Coming to NRG Stadium March 30th. Tickets are on sale now. Lock in your seats today at supercrosslive.com. Get your tickets today.
Hey folks, it's Michael Berry for the good people who make incredibly nice, solid wood, forged iron doors right here in Houston. They're called Southern Front Door. Their warehouse builds incredibly beautiful doors, the highest grade materials, and the lowest price. They don't have to ship them here, and they don't pay retail for some wasted space, some fancy retail shopping center. They just build great doors, and they're able to provide it to you cheap. SouthernFront.com, 281-890-5860, 281-890-5860.
24/7, 365. You're up and at 'em every day, so you don't want something like Medicare Part D to slow you down. At Walgreens, we'll take care of your Medicare Part D prescriptions, saving you time and money. Make the switch to Walgreens today and get more by earning 100 balance reward points and save up to $5 on each Medicare Part D prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Prescription savings applies to Tier 1 generics when you fill a preferred versus a non-preferred pharmacy and select plans. Points can't be earned in New York, New Jersey, or Arkansas. Other restrictions and limitations apply.
Get up first thing, smoke a cigarette. For lunch, after lunch. And now that I'm talking about it, I started feeling like I've lost about 4 hours of every day. I decided I need to find an alternative. So I started looking into a team up. I did both for a while. And eventually I just switched over to Make the switch July 2015. Make the switch at JUL.com. Only the best product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Laundry will be better with real Texas Talk.
Alexa, play KBRC 950 on iHeartRadio.
Okay, we're back for a little bit more, guys. Eric Dick Show. Okay, so I read in the headlines, Chris, that a bicyclist was a bicyclist died from the unsafe Houston streets, and this isn't the first time that bicyclist was hit by a car. Driving, the little lanes on the side of the even freeway that are kind of spray painted down. You have people bicycling there, and they just got bumped by a car and got killed. So what should the city do about that, if anything?
You know how you avoid getting hit by a bike or while on a bike?
While you're riding, don't ride on the street.
No, ride a horse. Speaking of riding horses, we have our very own cowboy lawyer with us today, Jason Rowe. Jason, glad you can make it. Now I just got a question. How does one
cheesiest transition I've ever heard?
I'm just trying to figure out how one becomes a cowboy lawyer.
Man, I got involved with rodeo several years ago, and I've been proud supporter of rodeo, and I. Rodeo has like 34,000 volunteers across the city, and they, this year alone, I think it's 19 million they're giving education. So just I don't use the hashtag cowboy lawyer very often. It's just when but you'll see me out at rodeo. I was out there with Leon Coffey. I got a picture with him recently, and Chris Daniels, a volunteer, and
that's the guy that fights the bulls, right? He's a clown.
So there's a term. Bullfighter's what the actual guys are out on.
He tricks the bulls.
But he's called the barrel man, so he's a rodeo clown. So he's the official rodeo clown of Rodeo Houston. But then you have the bullfighters who Leon Coffey's had over 100 different broken bones in his career. So he's no longer one of the three guys that stands out in the arena distracting the bulls once the Cowboys get bucked off, or once they're bucked off a horse or something else. He's the guy in the barrel.
So what does a barrel guy do?
I believe it's the same thing, but I think they're in a much safer position. I don't,
So cowboy lawyer Jason Rowe, have you ever been a barrel guy?
I have never been a barrel guy.
Have you been a bullfighter?
I would be honored to be either. No, I've never been either, but that would be an amazing experience. Especially even just riding a bull. I would love to do that. So if you want to go out, Chris, and we can go ride a bull sometime, let's find a place that'll let us do it.
6th Street has a mechanical bull that you can test your skills on.
There's a mechanical bull, but there's also smaller rodeos around the state where you can go and essentially pay $50 and ride a bull for a night. So the opportunities are there. There's the Crider Rodeo out in West Texas. We can go this summer.
I can wrestle a steer. I can do that. I have done that in the past.
Our bodies are built for that sort of style. That makes me feel like I could truly be an athlete again.
So have you done a steer wrestling?
I have not yet. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll try an easier one. Have you done mutton busting?
No, I was not blessed to be around rodeo when I was a kid, so I didn't get to do those things.
So who is the cowboy lawyer, and how do people contact the cowboy lawyer? What kind of law does the cowboy lawyer do?
My website is rowlawtx.com, ROWELAWTX.com. I'm on Instagram at Jason Rowe, and you can message me there, find me there. I'm on Facebook at the Rowe Law Firm. I do mostly business and contract law. We branched into a new venture recently where we're doing employment law for wage and hour discrimination cases. So if you're being forced to work overtime, they're not being paying you, or they're telling you to work and just don't clock in for a certain amount of time, those are cases we can take. Then it's a federal case, and we can make sure you get compensated for that. And so there's a lot of leeway we can do as well on that. So if you have this sort of cases, we can handle them from the plaintiff side, and happy to do that. So.
And how do people? Is there a phone number they can call? I know you said your website.
Give my office a call at 713-678-0774. 713-678-0774.
And that is for the cowboy lawyer, Jason Rowe.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to find me other places, I do other media appearances too. So occasionally you'll see me on Isaiah Carey and those places.
Why you got to cross promote?
I'm sorry.
When has Isaiah ever promoted the Eric Dick Show?
I'll talk to him.
That's a good idea. Now, but we're glad to have you on board. And like I said, if you want to save yourself from riding a bike, ride a horse. What's that one song? Ride a cowboy?
No, we're not going to talk about that song. We got FCC regulations and all that.
Oh yeah, that's true. But Dick, going back to what you said though, that is a huge problem with transportation throughout the city. So much money gets put into Metro every year, and it always seems like we talked about this before. How do we get Metro ridership up? If you're not going to have Metro, are you going to ride your bike everywhere? If you're going to ride your bike, are you going to have to spend millions and millions of dollars on these bike lanes? The green trails now have a bike lane in there as well. So, it's blunt to say, and it's kind of rude to say, but the reality is, as long as there's going to be different modes of transportation and people trying to get one place to another, there's always going to be accidents, there's always going to be fatalities. We just have to make sure that our leaders of the city do their best to try to minimize that. But do we need to spend $80 to $100 million in a study on that?
Well, $3,000 an inch for rail. I know people that don't even that's like up there.
Stormy Daniels, isn't that what
Stormy Daniels. That's what she charged us, $3,000 an inch.
Wow. Now, thankfully, Mayor Turner made that part of his re-election campaign. Is he's going to focus on transportation now for maybe the first time ever, apparently. Because look at what he's done to potholes.
That's true. He broke ground to build his own pothole. I will never forget that. We have our Houston's own Jussie Smollett in the form of the mayor creating his own issue so he can be a hero. But it's sad. But like I said, I'm still looking forward to this mayoral election to kick off. Hey, there's been a huge slew of people announcing for city council lately, and it's a lot of people no one's really heard of before. They haven't been involved in politics, civic associations. So it's going to be a flooded campaign season.
It usually is. It should be a great campaign. And it's fitting that today's St. Patrick's Day, because maybe we can get some of these guys to finally get the snakes out of City Hall. So
that's true. That's true. Jason, so what are you going to run for?
I don't know if I'll run for anything yet, but
not yet.
We'll see. People have been asking me. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. Hey, but you know what? One thing we do have to talk about before we get out of here, because we do have some sports coming up and shortly, is Varsity Blues. Dick, you heard about this?
No, I haven't. Go on, tell me.
Varsity Blues. So apparently there's a huge scheme and scam going around the country where parents, rich folks, celebrities, lawyers, and doctors were paying off these schools or a proctor or a middleman to gain admission into these colleges. And two of these people were Felicity Huffman. I don't know what she stars in, all kinds of things, I guess.
Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
Why do I know that? Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to say that. I acted like I didn't know, but okay. And the other, I will say this one. The other one was Lori Loughlin, and she starred in Full House, and that was Aunt Becky. Everybody knows Aunt Becky with the good hair, and so, but she's caught up with this. Now, here's my problem with the whole thing. People are surprised that payola or bribes have been going on. I mean, it goes on every year through alumni associations, all kinds of different ways. But all of a sudden, now it's an issue. Now, it was like, well, you're cheating, you're using, you're paying for fake scores. To me, that was just them trying to make it, cover it up, try to hide it a little better. Instead of a net cash donation, they were at least trying to, make it viable. Now, I understand it's a crime, and it is something serious because there are some people who probably could have gotten to these, these schools or colleges had it not been for certain people taking, their spots.
Bribes, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm okay with going after these parents. That's fine. What I'm not okay with is going after the kids, especially when it comes to Olivia Jade, which is Lori's daughter. And I'll tell you why, because in a day and age where we celebrate people such as the Cash Me Outside girl, Daniel Bergoli, the girl on Dr. Phil who was disrespectful to her mother and became a millionaire and gains all kinds of sponsorships because of her following on social media. We celebrate her. We have Kim Kardashian who spread her legs and all of a sudden became famous from that, gains all kinds of sponsorships, develops a business and brand line, all kinds of money. We celebrate them. But a girl who had a social media following before this whole scandal and had nothing to do with that scandal, now all of a sudden all these sponsors are shying away and dropping her. I just think that's a little, I don't know.
Well, if you got money to bribe, spend $1 million bribing people to go to school, you got some problems.
And it's just a hobby for them. Going to school is a hobby.
These are kids who had every advantage, though. And something like I was the first person in my family to graduate college. And these are kids who've had every advantage. I had to work my way up, and thankfully I got into A&M. That was a huge deal for my family. And I understand that. Like, okay, you laugh a little bit, Chris. I get it. It's fine.
It reminded me of a joke that I saw about something with A&M. But go on.
Okay. Well, and I understand. Like, A&M apparently is upset that the UT was called an elite school in this this filing. That's fair. That's fair. I think it's funny that UT seems to be.
I was shocked by UT. I don't see how people are bribing people off to get into UT or USC.
Nope. Or A&M.
They were on the list. That's why they were mad.
There were no bribes.
There were no bribes from that.
Apparently, A&M is upset that they were too ethical. So,
yeah, but so you have people that just got way too much money. I mean, if you can't get in, you can get into a lot of good schools. You don't have to spend $1 million into getting into a school. And to think that type of school would bring you to some place that you couldn't have been otherwise without placing the bribes, it's just crazy. And then if the fact that is true, which I think is crazy, then we got some serious problems, and we probably do have serious problems.
So is it better just to not do let me try to hide it as much as I can? I'm just going to make my straight donation to the school then? That's what it seems like.
I think there needs to be more of a transparent process with getting into colleges, because there's clearly we're only seeing just a tip of the iceberg as far as the corruption. There's just a high level of corruption, especially in more of the elite schools, Rice. Harvard, all those type of schools. It's almost impossible for people to get into those schools, and it's because of who what you pay, and all that.
But don't you see this as a double-edged sword, though? Because what keeps these schools as most desirable and elite? What keeps them there? It's the money. It's these donors. It's the booster clubs that build this empire of a school that makes them elite. So if you're now want to attack the rich people for helping build that institution, then they're no longer going to want to donate. They're no longer want to fund it, and then you will no longer have a desirable school.
As a result of that,
is that a bad thing?
I don't know.
I think it's a good thing. There's plenty of schools that are just as good as Harvard.
I didn't go to an Ivy League school, but
me neither.
Yeah.
I agree with Eric, but I think part of it's that the schools have allowed the system to exist where you can have major donations come in the year that your kid's going to be evaluated for admission. I think that there needs to be some sort of ethical rules, perhaps set up by the schools and by the university system, that perhaps can prohibit these in the future. No one was tracking where these donations went. There's apparently $500,000 that was donated to UT that UT has no idea where that donation came from or went. They don't show it on their books at all.
Well, why don't they open up the laws and let people sue? That's an easy way to find some transparency.
Some child did sue for $500 billion.
That seems realistic.
$500 billion, because apparently this is how much they would have made over a lifetime had they been accepted into that school instead of one of these fraudulent.
I think it was the mother who sued, actually.
Well, it could also be that they just didn't know where the comma was.
It could have been that as well.
Because a lawsuit for $2 million doesn't get as much press. So $500 billion.
$500 billion. But I get that was against the parents who were part of the Ponzi scheme, not really against the schools. But, I mean, do we hold the schools accountable for these actions of this third man?
No, you absolutely should hold them accountable. There shouldn't. If they're state schools, governmental immunity should not apply. They scam people. They're the same as everybody else. If they did wrong, they should have to pay for the wrong they did.
It's not just openness with donations. It's openness in the admission process. So many of these schools they're openly admitting legacy people before people who are perhaps more earning of.
But what's wrong with that?
I think that it should be merit-based. You should be able to get into a school based on your grades, your work of the student itself, not based on the fact that your grandfather was a student there 60 years ago.
But if my grandfather was a student there 60 years ago and he built that institution because of his name, shouldn't that legacy be part of my merit?
And these are questions best answered next week. So, tune in next week on the Eric Dick Show. You can follow us on Facebook at Eric B. Dick, Instagram, Twitter at Dick Law Firm. Go to my website, dicklawfirm.com, if you have any insurance needs. Thank you, guys, and we're out.